Well, welcome back in, guys. As you can see, we are joined by a special guest here. As a matter of fact, it's been about a month and a half since we've had a guest on the show due to the Sacramento Kings playoff run. So, to kick back our guest segments, it gives me great pleasure and privilege to introduce you guys, even though he doesn't need an introduction at all. He's the head coach of the indomitable club, Sacramento Republic FC. Mark Briggs is here in the building. Thanks so much for being here on the show, Mark.
No, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be in the studio with you guys.
Kevin, before we actually get into this interview, the reason why we have Mark here, for many different reasons, but the main reason is there's a major match this week, right? A massive match. And we're going to dive into it, but it's not just Sacramento versus Colorado. In many ways, it's Sacramento versus the MLS. So for an occasion this big, we need to make sure we go right. We just need to make sure that we get the proper representation going on.
Look at that. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. All right, now we can proceed.
There we go.
You gotta wear one. Come on, I got you.
We gotta put this one on.
Okay.
Now we're
Looks
ready.
good.
Now
Looks
we're ready
good.
to talk
There we
Republic
go.
versus MLS again.
You know, I feel like we're breaking some kind of rule. This is the first time we've ever worn sports paraphernalia on the show. So, you know. Oh, well, if Colorado Rapids is watching, then so be it.
Welcome to Sacramento.
Welcome to Sacramento. All right. Well, speaking of which, that's a perfect segue, I guess, into what we're going to talk about. Obviously, you guys have the big match coming up on Tuesday. Before we get to that, let's just talk about the undefeated start to the season. Obviously, you guys have been playing really impressive, and that's against some impressive competition. What do you attribute the early success of the season to so far?
I think that the focus that the guys have shown and the mentality they've shown, what we asked of them from day one, has allowed us to implement certain things, and the guys have executed everything we've asked to a high degree so far. So it's been a good start. But the season's 34 games long and not 8 games long, so we've just got to keep going down the track we're on.
Mark, last season, the U.S. Open Cup run, making it to the final, going all the way to Orlando, like some were calling it a run of dreams in so many ways, and something that you always want to remember and kind of keep in your back pocket and remember those times. But I notice you don't really want that to define this club, and here you are now starting to make another big run here in the U.S. Open Cup round of 32, taking on another MLS opponent. You defeated 3 MLS opponents in this cup run last year. How do you acknowledge the past success of the club without relying too much on it and separating it from this run that you're currently on?
Yeah, I think, you know, the club's been around for 10 years now, and there's history throughout those 10 years. But for us and for myself, like, last year was great, but last year's gone. And we're now in 2023, and it's a different team, and it's a different season, it's a different competition against a different opponent, and we've just got to focus on what we can control right now in the moment. We've got to be present, we've got to carry ourselves properly on a day-to-day basis, and we've got to perform at the levels that I know can get this group results. So what's happened in the past is fantastic and part of our history, but it's the past. You can't change the past.
Now, do you think because of that pass and the fact that you guys were so successful taking down 3 MLS teams on the way to the Open Cup final last year, do you feel that in a way you guys can no longer can just sneak in there? Like, everyone knows it's Sacramento Republic FC. Obviously, your record last year speaks for itself. Do you kind of feel like there's a target on your back now and that teams are gunning for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of our group evolving as a team, us evolving as a group. When you get success, when you have success, people want to beat you. You get a target on your back, and that's where we're at now. And when we face Colorado on Tuesday, they for sure won't be taking it easy, because they know what Heart Health Park's going to bring, and they know what Sacramento brings. And it's important that we're able to perform under those constraints, under those pressures. We have to be able to handle it and perform within those pressures.
Talking about the brand of soccer that you guys are playing, you know, I've known you for a while, Mark, and I know that a lot of your teams in the past have kind of built off of having really solid defense, a lot of clean sheets, which is something you're still doing this season, and having a really solid back line. But you wanted to score more goals. You wanted attacking football, moving forward, not moving backwards. That's something that you've really implemented this year. The goals are up, the scoring is up, more dynamic play. How thrilled are you, I guess, with how the adjustments that you've made during the offseason to put together not just a successful brand of soccer, but a more exciting for the fans brand of soccer?
I think as a coach, you have to have a plan in place, right? and you have to understand that sometimes it takes time to get to the position that you want to ultimately be in. If I could have got to this position as soon as I took the job, then that would have been great. But I knew I wasn't going to get there, and I had to put certain pieces in place to be able to play the type of football I wanted, to be able to implement the culture that I wanted, to be able to have the environment that I wanted. And right now we're at a point where we are playing the football that I want, and we do have the environment and we do have the culture, but it's continually evolving, right? It continually changes, and you continually want to push the level. Whether it's the player, whether it's the culture, whatever it may be, you want to push the level to continue to get better. But I think for me, now I have a group of players that first and foremost take pride in wearing these colours, take pride in representing this city, take pride in representing the jersey. And I think first and foremost, that then allows you to implement certain things. But I know this city gets behind a player, a team that gives everything they have to get the result they want. Then on top of that, we have players that can play, and we want to move the ball quickly, and we want to put teams under pressure, and we want to excite the fans. And ultimately, on the sideline, I'm a fan. I want to be excited. I want the players to go out and express themselves and have the courage to play the type of football that we all want to see.
Well, we love seeing Coach Briggs excited on the sideline. I think that's what we all come for. Now, one of the things I admire about Republic FC is the fact that, obviously that you guys just don't give your all on the pitch day in and day out, but it's what you guys do in the community, in the Sacramento community specifically. There were times that we followed you along to Folsom Prison, where you guys had practices in the prison yard with some of the inmates, and, we're meeting them. And there's so many things that you guys do in the community around the holidays and whatnot. Why is it so important for you guys and your athletes to go out in the community and truly make a difference and impact?
Because we're a part of this community, and I think it's the bread and butter of our club. It's the soul of our club, the city and the people within this city. And just because I'm a professional coach or my players are professional football players, we're a part of this community, we're a part of this city, and it's very important. We're fortunate that we have a platform where we can impact a number of areas. And we have to impact those areas because Sacramento Republic is a part of Sacramento, and we have to do whatever we can to do what's right for Sacramento as a city.
And speaking of the fans too, Mark, it's so important that they be involved in this match and that you see them filling Hart Health Park like they were able to do last year. I know there are a ton of huge soccer fans in this community. There's a ton of soccer talent in this community, which your academy has shown off a lot. But for those who maybe are in this community who are Sacramento Kings fans or just sports fans in general that haven't given a Republic FC home match a try, I've told the story before. My wife had never been to a soccer match before. She comes by the 90th minute, she's calling for yellow cards louder than Mark is. So I'm just curious how you would, not necessarily sell, but how you would encourage or tell people what a Sacramento Republic FC match in that environment is like.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to describe because it's so good. And I think unless you give yourself the opportunity to experience it, you don't necessarily know what's in your city, what's around the corner, And if you went to a Kings game and you saw the environment that was created in Golden One, that's created outdoor at Hart Health Park as well. So give yourself the opportunity to come out and see professional soccer played at a high level against international players on Tuesday, top level players. But I think once you come once, you end up coming back, and that's the beauty of it. So come out, support your local professional team against an MLS opponent, and I'm sure that'll get you hooked, and you'll be back again.
Well, I can definitely guarantee Hart Health Park will be rocking this Tuesday. And if you guys want to come check it out, you just heard Coach Briggs talking about the atmosphere. This Tuesday, they take on MLS side Colorado Rapids in the round of 32 U.S. Open Cup. Of course, the winner of this goes on to the round of 16. So all Republic fans out there, feel free to fill up Hart Health Park. If you've never been to a Republic match, this is a great time to come to your first one.
You got to go.
You got to go, like Matt says.
That's it, coming out.
Coach Briggs, thank you so much for coming here on a Sunday. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime. And Matt, thanks for the swag.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, well, this is what we have coming up right here on Tour of the Sports Extra.